that would be your part. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am not the things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am not mistakes that I have made or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. 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 I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my race. I am not my age. My soul inside is all light. Is all light. I am light. I am light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light.
Our reading now is from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The ultimate weakness of violence is that it is a descending spiral, begetting the very thing it seeks to destroy. Instead of diminishing evil, it multiplies it. Through violence you may murder the liar, but you cannot murder the lie, nor establish the truth. Through violence you may murder the hater, but you do not murder hate. In fact, violence merely increases hate. So it goes. Returning violence for violence multiplies violence, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Okay, now I have the great pleasure of introducing my friend, Lea Black. Lea is a mama, photographer, and active community member here in Bismarck. And I'm gonna cry just talking about you. So just come on up, Okay, I'm done.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today. I'm so happy to see all of your beautiful faces. So many beautiful lights right here in this room, and I feel honored to be here sharing my story with you. So I am here today to tell you about a project that I am currently working on called the Human Atlas of Bismarck. This project is a social media outlet giving a platform for all the residents that make up the diversity of Bismarck to be seen through photography and heard through interviews. The project is built on the cornerstone of cultivating a more integrated community through connection and understanding upon the foundation of compassion. But first, I would like to tell you of how I came to the idea of this project. I would like to invite you on a tour to journey along the evolutionary path of my life that led me from where I started to where I am today. Surprise! This tour at its essence is truly a journey of discovering what compassion really means. A journey of first finding compassion for myself. Because in the poetic wisdom of the late great powerhouse Maya Angelou, don't take a shirt from a naked man. Or in other words, you cannot give away what you don't have for yourself. But these are just meaningless words of theory until they are put into the powerful context of a real-life example. Humans gain trust, understanding, and connection through storytelling, a core concept in the creation of this photo project. So in the spirit of gaining trust to build connection, I would like to tell you my story of how I got to be here in Bismarck and how I came to develop this project that combines cultural diversity, photography, purpose, and compassion. So first, I would like to define a few key concepts that I will be using throughout this journey. Authenticity. This means to be fully, wholly human. Or as Dr. Seuss plainly says, today you are you, that is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. The next concept is alignment. This is the state of your natural well-being, the place where your authenticity abides. And from this place of alignment with your authenticity, you have access to your unique gifts and your purpose and power in the world. The next term I'd like to define is contrast, the feeling of being out of alignment. Because when you know what you don't want, you know with more clarity what you do want. It gives you an opportunity to say no to things that aren't in alignment and yes to things that are in alignment. Compassion. This simply means the acceptance of oneself or another for being fully human. And finally, this term called Maya. This is an ancient Indian term that means to cloak or to forget your true nature. It exists as a way that the universe plays with us, dances with us, in order to experience the bliss of rediscovery and remembrance of who we truly are. And since it's from the universe, it is universal. There is no avoiding it. It's a part of every human's journey. When I was a little one, I wouldn't settle for anything but being fully free, fully authentic, and fully myself. Here I am as a 3-year-old, in my backyard, fully trusting in the magnetizing nature of my curiosity with no concern for anything but experiencing joy and giving and receiving love. I accepted all the juicy aspects of my wholeness, from giggling uncontrollably to demanding I get what I want through uncontrollable temper tantrums, like any toddler. But why was I so demanding? Because I knew what it felt like to be authentic, to feel good within myself, to approve of myself, and I wouldn't stand for anything other than my full alignment with my authenticity. But as time went on, the cloaking of Maya, of illusion, of forgetting this true nature that I so naturally expressed from within, started to dance with me. This dance with Maya took me from knowing and embodying my truth to looking for my truth in the faces and reactions of others, outside of myself. Being the precocious young lady that I was, I took up this offer with Maya and said, yes, sign me up for the dance, be it unconsciously like everyone else. And I spent many years spiraling deeper and deeper into the illusion that I would find my value from people's approval outside of myself. I was no longer whole, for I had split myself into 2 categories. One category contained attributes I deemed acceptable about myself, such as kindness, and the other contained attributes I rejected, such as anger. Remember those tantrums? This may seem like a mundane sorting task, but to split oneself is to deny our own humanity, and the consequences are severe and painful. I had built an invisible box that I lived inside of, a box of perfectionism, built from walls of those attributes about myself that I deemed acceptable. Everything I deemed unacceptable about myself was exiled to live outside of this meticulously clean box. What I didn't realize at that time is that this box kept me small. It stayed the same size as my being pushed onward and outward to grow organically as life would have it. The sterile room of this box was the only place that felt safe, predictable, and comforting, but it grew incredibly tight and began to suffocate me. I grew and I grew and I grew, contorting myself to still fit in that box. But no matter how I tried, the wholeness of my humanity, all my disowned parts, wanted back in, longed for reunion so I could experience authenticity and alignment again. It's coming. And we're still on the first slide, so it's all good. We haven't missed out on too much. But remember, I signed up for this dance of forgetting, and I wasn't going out without a theatrical tango. Instead of expressing my disowned anger, I began projecting it onto myself. I was so angry that I couldn't meet my own standards of perfection, and I fell into a daily ritualistic routine of self-hatred, self-criticism, and self-loathing. But within all of this, there was a gift of contrast, because remember, when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want with more clarity. So living within this state of painful contrast, we're still on the second slide, or the third slide, rather. Yep, that's me as a 3-year-old that I was telling you about, totally free and on my authenticity. So with living within this state of painful contrast, I knew in my soul that this was not truly living at all. I knew I wanted more. There were seeds planted along my path throughout different chapters of my life that led me to this more that I was craving. These seeds were clues that would magnetize me in the direction of my authenticity and purpose, and took the forms of fascination and appreciation for culture, photography, purpose, and compassion. You will see those seeds scattered along this path. One place I unearthed the abandoned authenticity that I was yearning for was in Mexico. I was 12. Instead of hanging poolside with other American vacationers, I trusted my curiosity and ventured out to the other side of the fence to the mercado to hang with the local kids. I made numerous friends, and although we could not communicate through a shared language, we communicated through our states of openness, curiosity, laughter, and love for one another. A seed was planted for my love of cultural diversity, a clue to my authenticity, to my purpose. When I was in high school, my parents gave me my first camera. It was an inexpensive, simple, orange point-and-shoot digital camera with a sliding cover. I took my new toy and I explored my backyard. I was free to express myself through the frame of my unique perspective. Here you see one of the abstract shots that I took with this first camera. For a moment, I was out of the dance with Maya, and instead of being focused on what approval I could glean from others outside of myself, I was focused on the love, passion, and curiosity that was exuding from within myself. While this moment did not last, another seed had been planted for the magic of self-expression through the medium of photography, and I went to bed that night not hating myself so much. In college, I chose to trust my heart's magnetism towards cultural diversity and followed my bliss into the degree of international studies. At this time, I had purchased a real deal camera and was taking photos frequently, including landscapes, friends' weddings, and senior portraits. I really enjoyed what I was doing, but the contrast inside me longed for something more. I realized that this was close, but not quite the exact fit of how my authenticity wanted to be manifested through me. Then, as a requirement for international studies, I traveled and worked abroad in Jamaica. I had an internship working with an organization focused on community development for underprivileged children. Most of the children benefiting from the organization had few other opportunities to be seen, expressed, and directed in a positive way. Many of them growing up in open sewage and domestic violence, in communities governed by gun-toting gangs. Perhaps for the first time, these kids experienced a sense of positive community and belonging to something beyond themselves. A seed of purpose was planted in my heart in that chapter of my life in Jamaica. I had shot my very best footage to that date, and I saw the light in myself reflected in the light of the eyes of the children I connected with. There's no denying that you can see this child's light. I felt more alive, present, and in love than ever, and it was not in the way I expected love to be experienced, with me as the focused object of attention. No, this love was being focused through me, as me, upon them. I saw their divinity, their perfection, their light, and I experienced my inherent light. Maya had been lifted, and I was living joyously in the clarity of my authenticity, as you can see. For the first time, I felt a new ingredient in my experience, a sensation of deep fulfillment, bringing my passion for photography into a mode that it could be expressed to make a positive impact in the lives of others. I realized that I couldn't help but feel deeply fulfilled when in the service of uplifting others. But the full integration of myself, of accepting myself for being fully human and truly understanding compassion, came later. The birth of my son, Bea, lifted the trance of Maya completely. In that moment, the seed of compassion was planted, and I felt suddenly and significantly connected to all of humanity. I realized I was privileged to be in a long line of all the mothers of the world, an ancient thread of women who love their babes with all their hearts, with no strings attached, love their babes just for being whole and human and still totally worthy of unconditional love. I realized that everyone walking on the planet is somebody's baby. And no matter what they have gone through, no matter the Maya they may be dancing with, no matter how deeply they have forgotten their true nature, makes them no less connected or human. So this is me on the left and Bea on the right. I saw myself again, this time reflected in my son's newborn eyes. I was that baby once too, without any self-criticism. Could this really be true? Truth has to be all or none at all. So if this were true for me, could it also be true for every other single human being on the planet? Could everyone be wholly human and lovable too? And the answer to that, the answer I found, is that it is a whopping yes. To see that if I wanted to be accepted exactly for who I am authentically, I will have to offer acceptance of others for exactly who they are authentically. This is unconditional love, or compassion. This is the bliss of the remembrance and releasing of the dance of Maya. And while I am perfectly human, I am not perfect. I still mess up all the time, and it's okay. I think it's beautifully said by an author I admire, named Glennon Melton Doyle. We are ashamed of the design of the one we claim to worship. We forget that our Maker made us human, and so it's okay, maybe exactly right, to be human. Now I understand the dance of Maya and the value of contrast, and I am much more forgiving of myself and others for being so human. I finally remembered that little girl inside of myself again. That precocious one that knew what it felt like to be authentic and wouldn't stand for anything other than my full alignment with my authenticity. And for once, I felt the value of the strength hidden in my disowned anger. When I looked at my son, so wonderful and so vulnerable, and stepped back into my authenticity, I knew I would utilize anger appropriately anytime I felt like it, the way it was always intended to be used. To stand up for the worthy causes and stand for nothing other than full alignment or well-being for myself and for others. And that leads us to right here, right now, today, discussing the Human Atlas of Bismarck that was born from these seeds of curiosity, of culture, photography, purpose, and compassion. A project born from the contrast I felt looking out into a community hungry for connection and understanding, and from that place, finding the clarity of stepping back into purpose, knowing that I can make a difference by taking action to building the community that I desire, a community that represents and embraces the beauty cultivated in diversity and understanding. So here's a taste. I would totally sound like a North Dakotan right there. I'm from Idaho, so anyway. That's new for me. So here's a taste of the project itself. This is Caritas from the Democratic Republic of the Congo in Africa, a dear friend of mine that lives here in Bismarck. When asked what she wants Americans to know about her home country, she replied, "I want people to know we love welcoming people. You will share everything for free. We love to give to each other. We love the visitors we like to enjoy. Immediately, we will take you dancing. Music is everywhere. Congo is beautiful. We have forests, animals, rivers, volcanoes. You will not be stressed. If you want rest, take your vacation. You can go there." Next, you see Luminous Heidi, originally from Grafton, North Dakota. When asked how she thinks we can make our community stronger, she said, "We have to be the captains of our own ship. And if there is something that we want in life, we really have to go out there and do it. And not so much alone, but to collaborate and cross-pollinate with other people and organizations, really build our tribes and go do the work." And here you see Brother Moji from Iran and a member of our own congregation. When asked what he thinks is most important for humanity to understand, he replied, "We better deeply understand how profoundly interconnected we are. We should evolve out of the selfishness that makes us say, 'I am on this planet for my survival and my joy.' We should evolve and recognize that human life is about our joy, our survival, and our happiness. So what can you do? If you feel drawn to make a difference in Bismarck, to build community and understanding, I invite you to participate in the Human Atlas of Bismarck as a subject or as a collaborator to organize the project as well. There are lots of ways to get involved. There is information at the back table and a sign-up sheet if you would like to keep in the loop. Other ways to get involved with the diverse community right here in Bismarck is by volunteering with Lutheran Social Services or Global Neighbors. Both of these are organizations that work directly welcoming and resettling new Americans. Some of those parts you heard in our congregation already today. So thank you for seeing me, for hearing me, and holding space for my story today. I will conclude with this passage by Brené Brown that beautifully sums it all up. There is a constant barrage of social expectations that teach us that being imperfect is synonymous with being inadequate. So we learn to hide our struggles and to protect ourselves from shame, judgment, criticism, and blame by seeking safety in pretending and perfectionism. We need our lives back. It's time to reclaim the gifts of imperfection, the courage to be real, the compassion we need to love ourselves and others, and the connection that gives us true purpose and meaning to life. These are the gifts that bring us love, laughter, gratitude, empathy, and joy into our lives. My hope for you is that you walk away today knowing the value of your unique authenticity, or as Michael Franti puts it, all the freaky people make the beauty of the world. So thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Closing words are by Ansel Adams. I thought it fitting to pick a photographer for one of the quotes. When words become unclear, I shall focus with photographs. When images become inadequate, I shall be content with silence.